So here's the problem. I have this riff, but it's just too clean. We're gonna fix that. Hi everyone, thanks for joining me. Today, we're putting the final piece in a puzzle that I've been working on for quite a while now. I've been writing this song for a few years and I just can't quite dial in the tone I want for the rhythm guitar. I've tried every guitar in my rack, every pedal on my shelf, but nothing is quite that exact sound that I'm looking for. So I kept working at it, slowly losing hope that I would ever find what I wanted until one morning, it finally came to me. I need a fuzz pedal. So great, I need a fuzz, but if you're at all familiar with the deep dark rabbit hole that is guitar pedals, you might know that this doesn't narrow down my choices like at all. Silicon, germanium, whatever sweet nonsense is going on inside the fuzz factory. I have a vague understanding at best of what a fuzz is, but not even a semblance of how they work. It dawned on me that the only way to fix the gaps in my knowledge was the same way I did for guitars. I need to build one myself, but here's the real crux of the issue. Where do I even start? I very quickly realized that I was desperately needing help on this one. Luckily, I knew just the guy to call. Hi, Matt. Thank you so much for having me here. So this is my friend Matt, but most of you probably know him better by his channel, Ambient Trash. Matt makes some of the most in-depth and informative pedal demos ever with deep dives into functions that I didn't even know existed. He's also an incredible guitarist, a badass drummer, and a fountain of knowledge when it comes to pedal types, combinations, and best of all for my purposes, pedal building. I want to build a fuzz pedal, but how do fuzz pedals or how do pedals even work?
We can think of a pedal like a pedal board. You've got a big chain of effects and you've got your signal that goes through and it just goes in series one to the next thing. You can think of a pedal as the exact same thing, just in one box. A fuzz pedal is some form of cascading gain stages. Our first gain stage that just amplifies things, and then you got a second one that cascades into that basically just blows out the whole signal. On a super basic level, fuzz is just full range distortion.
So is there like a quantifiable difference then between a really heavy distortion versus a fuzz, or is that kind of a gray area?
It can be really gray when you're thinking of distortion circuits, especially ones that there's a lot of sculpting going on. That's just a lot more refined, whereas a fuzz is a lot simpler. It's just all out full range distortion. That's kind of what makes fuzz fuzz.
When I was looking into fuzzes, I kept running into words like silicon or germanium. What do those refer to in the context of a fuzz?
People usually refer to those speaking of diodes or transistors, and in the case of fuzzes, it's usually transistors. Germanium tends to be a little softer. People like to say spongy or warm, whereas silicon usually has a little brighter of an edge to it, a little more of that grit.
If you're a new pedal builder, what are the best ways to start, like following online schematics?
I started with a kit from a build your own clone. I built a clone. I built it in a little mini enclosure, which by the way, don't do that. That's a terrible build to start with. Kits are a great way to get started, in my opinion. If you're feeling crazy, you can go just grab schematics and layouts online for prototype boards. Prototype boards are a little more involved. You're doing a lot more work by hand. Another option is buying PCBs, and that's, as far as building is concerned, is basically coloring by numbers. You've got your build documentation, you've got the circuit board that tells you where every piece goes, you buy all your parts, and you just assemble it.
What's the likelihood of a beginner like me messing it up?
100%. You will make a mistake if it's your first time. Like, I make plenty of mistakes now. I've been building pedals for 2-3 years. You're gonna solder something out of place, or you'll have a cold joint somewhere. Things happen, that's fine.
Well, I will let you know how I mess up and how it goes. Thanks, Matt.
I look forward to it.
Matt had a ton of great info and even set me up with the parts and documentation to build the fuzz pedal of my dreams. So I guess all that's left to do now is actually build the pedal. So let's give it a shot. circuit board is done. All right, the circuit board is populated, and I did my best to check continuity wherever I could, but if I'm being honest, I still have no idea what I'm doing, so I give it about a 1 in 5 chance that this thing actually works when it's all said and done. But putting aside that less than happy thought for a second, let's talk about what this pedal is, or at least what it's gonna be.
So we're building a Hyperion fuzz. This is a circuit from a builder called Debbie Ever. This is a super simple circuit, and itself is made up of some really simple circuits to make some really wild sounds. The fun thing that we're gonna do is a little mod to it where it has a pot to basically keep all the signal from getting to ground and create some really cool oscillation and feedback. We're gonna try and put that on a momentary switch so you can just do that at will.
The other idea that we had was to place this giant knob on the oscillation pot so that ideally I can roughly tune the pitch of my oscillation with my foot on the fly. As Matt mentioned, there are a few different ways you can go about building pedals, from kits to schematics to PCBs. For this pedal, we went the PCB route, which is great if you're just getting started, but it does come with some, let's say, considerations.
We're using a pre-made PCB. It's a really great resource to get started with building. It gets to be a little bit of a gray area if we're talking ethics. I guess the one main point is that you can't copyright analog circuits, but that's why we have so many Big Muff clones and Tube Screamer clones. I guess what's cool about that is there's a very open source nature to the building community. People generally think it's cool if you can take this existing circuit and you do something novel with it that somebody else hasn't done. I guess that's where it gets a little gray, is what constitutes doing more. What's not quite as gray is people realize you can take these prefab boards and you can just make a pedal company. Build those clones for yourself, by all means. Build them for a friend who just wants to play with something new or is tight on cash, but don't start a business. Like, put in the work.
The fact that all of this information is just freely out in the world is honestly incredible. And to me, I see it as a way to have any sound I could ever want, even from pedals that are no longer production or ones that are prohibitively expensive. But if you're wanting to start your own pedal company, don't just hit copy paste on your favorite pedal and call it yours. Moral and ethical reasons aside, why would you even want to? None of these pedals are perfect. Not the Tube Screamer, not the Rat, and not even the Klon despite the hype. So buy these PCBs, build these clones, find out how they work, but put your mark on them and make them even better. And once you've built the perfect pedal, share it with the rest of us so that we can give it a shot as well. All right, let's finish this up. The wrong spot. Sorry, that's, in the grand scheme of things, that's a super minor error. I'm glad I caught it now. Matt did say I was gonna this up. I think that's the mod. Moment of truth. Let's see if this thing powers on. Okay, the LED works, so that's promising, but I'm not gonna get my hopes up just yet. Let's see. She's all plugged in. Here is my clean tone. I'm playing through my test amp right now, which is a Boss Katana Mini, so don't judge my clean tone too harshly. But anyway, let's try it out. Let's put it to work. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining me on this one. Pedals are definitely a little bit of a departure from my usual builds, but this was a lot of fun, and I definitely want to build more in the future. Also, a huge shout out to Matt. I literally couldn't have done any of this without him, and I can't thank him enough for putting together the kit, designing and sketching out the mod, and for just being so willing to teach me everything I could ever want to learn about pedals. What's going on with all the different big muffs?
That is a whole video.
We'll save that for another one. If you haven't already, check him out at Ambient Trash on Instagram, YouTube, and in the description below. Thanks for watching, everyone. I'll see you in the next one. Happy playing. But if you're familiar with the deep, dark rabbit hole that is guitar pedals, you know that. What are you doing? This is the most distracting thing. Oh my god. Just go ahead, tie your shirt. Hold for lizard. You good? You can stay still there?
Brought to you by Waterloo.